Okay, good morning. I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and I know that Logan and Melissa are going to come up here first.
Welcome and thank you for joining us in the 2018 JAG Showcase ceremony. We're so glad all of you can make it and we hope you enjoy the ceremony.
And now we will introduce Miss Wonderful Hawaii.
Miss Wonderful.
We're special.
I did not pay. Okay. Thank you. So, hello and welcome. My name is Ms. Hoig and I am the JAG for America's Graduates Program Career Specialist at Tomah High School. JAG is a program that moves with your child throughout their education at Tomah High School, and for 1 year after graduation, they will continue to receive support services. JAG is funded by Forward Service Corporation of Madison and is designed to target high school students who need assistance with academic success, organizational skills, and the desire to achieve high academic goals. Tomah High School students are selected through personal interest, recommendations, completed applications, and individual interviews. Eligibility requirements can include the following barriers to success: educational, cultural, social, academic, environmental, physical, psychological, or work-related. The goals for a JAG model program can be divided into two areas. First, there are in-school goals that are related to improvements in employability skills and life and personal skills for the participant, as well as academic remediation or credit recovery if necessary. Second, JAG wants to develop additional job readiness skills that employers believe are fundamental to success on the job. JAG has a strong commitment to helping our youth break barriers and realizing the importance of high school diploma attainment. The JAG model also outlines the value of post-secondary education, military enlistment, or securing quality entry-level jobs leading to career advancement opportunities. Today is bittersweet for me. I've talked to my students as a whole, and they know that I am moving very soon and advancing my career and personal opportunities. They know that each program participant holds a special place in my heart. They know that my expectations are high for each one of them. My hope is that they will never give up their drive for success, and that they will always strive for greatness. Well, I know that we can have barriers that get in our way. As long as we continue to move in a forward direction, you will continue to grow. I am so proud of all my students, and as I am happy for each of them when good things happen, I hope they can be happy for me. Never quit, never throw in the towel, don't blame others, take responsibility. Please smile, and remember, you are worth it. Thank you.
It's 4 a.m. I've struggled for the last hour to fall back asleep, but I can't. Yet again, I'm tossing and turning, unable to shut down my brain. Why? Because I'm stressed. I'm stressed about my students. I'm so stressed that the only thing I can think to do is to take my thoughts and write them down tonight and vow to myself that tomorrow I'm going to tell students the truth, the real truth I've been needing to say. This is what students really need to hear. actually care about yourself. And I care about you more than your grades and your test scores, more than your GPAs and your SATs, more than the state-required benchmark minimum that tells me how much I'm supposed to care. I care about you as a person. And because I care, I need to be honest with you. Do I have your permission to be honest both in what I say and how I say it? Here's the thing. Teachers lose sleep because of you every week. But before I tell you why, there's something you need to understand about school. You see, academic learning is not the main event of school. It never has been, and probably never will be. Yes, algebra, essay writing, the judicial process, Spanish, all are important. All can change your life. They are events, but they are not the main event. The main event school is dealing with the harshness of life, learning how to deal with adversity, learning how to deal with harshness as simple as a forgotten locker combination, to obnoxious peers, to gossip, to being doubted by others, to doubting yourself, and still through all of it, pushing to be the best version of yourself no matter what. The main event of school is conquering adversity. It is your resilience in conquering the main event, adversity, that truly prepares you for life after school. Because mark my words, school is not the last time you will face great difficulty. Yes, you will have moments more beautiful than you can imagine, but you will also confront tragedy, frustration, fear, and doubt in the years to come. You shouldn't be worried about the fact that you will face great adversities. You should be worried because you are setting yourself up to fail at overcoming them. Here's the real reason why teachers lose sleep because of you every single week. You are failing the main event of school. You are quitting. And you may not think you are quitting, but you are, because quitting wears many masks. For some of you, quitting looks like throwing the day away and not even picking up a pencil to try to write a sentence or a fraction because you think you can't, or it doesn't matter, or it's not worth it, but it is. What you write is not the main event. The fact that you choose to take charge of your own doubt, your own weakness, your own boredom in order to write when you get challenged, that is the main event. Some of you quit by skipping class on free education, a privilege that was paid for, bled for, died for by millions of people who came before you. Being punctual is not the main event. The main event is delaying your temptation and investing in your own intelligence, understanding that sometimes short-term pain leads to long-term gain, and that great people make great sacrifices for a greater good. For others, you quit by throwing disrespect at adults who ask you to go to class. Bowing to authority is not the main event. The main event is learning how to problem solve maturely, not letting your judgment be tainted by the stains of emotion. It's having grace and tact when every fiber of your being wants to hit or scream or run away. I see some of you quit by not taking opportunities, chances after chances after chances to pass a class. The main event is not having some letter, some number tell you that you are worthy. The main event is pulling your crap together and making hard choices and hard sacrifices even when it seemed impossible. It's finding hope in the hopeless, courage in the chasm, guts in the grave. What you need to see is that every time you take the easy way out, you are building a habit of quitting, and it will destroy your future and annihilate your happiness if you let it. Our society couldn't care less for quitters. Life will leave you sad, depressed, and poor if you can't courage up and learn how to deal with hardship. You are either the muscle or the dirt. You either take resistance and grow stronger, or you erode in the wind. So know this right now. As long as you are in my life, I'm not going to let quitting be easy for you. I'm going to challenge you, confront you, push you, coach you. You can whine, you can throw a tantrum, you can stomp and scream and swear, and guess what? Tomorrow, I'll be right here, smiling and patient, waiting for you to give you a fresh start, because you are worth it. So do yourself a favor, courage up. No more excuses, no more justifications, no blaming, no quitting. Lift your head up, rip the cords out of your ears, grab the freaking pencil, and let's do this.
I wanted to show that my students know that some of my days are spent lesson plans in hand, but sometimes we throw them out the window because there are things that get in our way, drama that happens or sadness that happens, the adversity that he was talking about. And while he said, you know, I'm going to be there for you, it's not just about me, it's the other teachers that are here for you. And there are other adults that care for you. You just have to speak up and let them know when you need help. So our first speaker today is going to be our Career Association President, Alyssa Hernandez.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Hernandez, and I am Career Association President of JAG. And I'm a senior, and I've been in JAG for 3 years now. When I entered Tomah High School, I was probably one of the most reserved kids in the entire school. Honestly, I was just trying to pass most of my classes and get through the day. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be really good at everything and get really good grades, while at the same time working 6 days throughout the week at a job I absolutely hated. It was completely unhealthy and really emotionally draining, and the toll it was taking on me was obvious. Ms. Roy can attest to that. Mentally, I would say I was in one of the worst spots I've ever been in, and because of it, my attendance was really bad. I did not ever want to be at school. I saw no point. I had nothing to look forward to coming to school for. Until one day, I decided to visit my counselor and discuss college, something that was absolutely a necessity for me coming from a single-parent family. My entire life, my mom has strongly encouraged me to attend college, and it was something I knew I had to do, I just didn't know how. My counselor suggested I go see Kim Shirk, and I can truthfully say it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. In order to be accepted to jobs for America's graduates, you need to meet a certain amount of barriers. For me, it was completely easy. I come from a single-parent family, I'm Hispanic, I have a history of mental illness, and I'm a first-generation college student. The barriers for me were seemingly endless. After discussing things with my mom, I decided to go ahead and join JAG, and it was again one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've learned a ton in my 3 years in JAG. I've learned so many things that seemed obvious but weren't to me. For example, I learned how to work better with others and how to be a part of a team, something that seems so obvious but is really hard for people. So, the biggest lesson Ms. Hoyes taught me is that I don't have to put pressure on myself. She helped me learn that you should always try to better yourself, but not at the expense of your mental health. I learned that yes, maintaining straight A's should be a goal, but it shouldn't be a necessity to feel like you're good enough. If someone were to ask me my freshman year what I wanted to do after school, I would tell them I have absolutely no idea. In JAG, I've learned how to better prepare myself for after school and come up with a well-thought-out plan. Because of this program, I've been able to accomplish so much. I've been accepted to UW Green Bay and even my dream school, UW-Madison. I'll be the first person in my family to attend college, a feat I never believed I was capable of until joining JAG. But I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without the help of two very, very important people in my life. And they are my mom and Ms. Hoyes. I honestly do not know where I would be without you two. You both have constantly encouraged me, even on days I didn't feel I was worth the encouragement. can never thank you enough for that. Ms. White, thank you for giving me so many opportunities to better myself and most importantly, believe in myself. And Mom, thank you for being my #1 fan no matter what I was doing and for being my rock when I needed you to be. Okay, many people don't know what JAG is. They label us as the bad kids or the dumb kids, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. As president, I've been able to meet and talk to every person in this program, and dumb or bad are words I would never, even in a million years, use to describe them, because they just aren't true. The kids in this program are some of the greatest people I know. I've been able to watch them all grow into amazing people, and I cannot wait to see where their futures take them with the help of JAG. None of us were able to decide the situations we were born into. We can't decide a family's income or the disabilities we inherit or the struggles we're going to face throughout life. But what we can do is overcome those obstacles, and that is exactly the point of JAG. We can all choose to make ourselves better people regardless of our circumstances. Thank you very much.
Wow, how do I even go after that? Well, hi, I'm Logan Arnold. I'm a senior this year. This is my second year in JAG, and as she said, vice president. I've had a wonderful opportunity to work with Alyssa. As vice president, it has been my goal to get to know each and every one of the students on a personal level. Each of these students know that they can come to me when they need help with anything. I know that today is about recognizing each student for their hard work, but not only for their hard work, but also for their accomplishments, which brings me to say that I'm proud of each and every one of these students. They have made a wonderful impact on each other. JAG is a wonderful program and has done the best for me. I have not only become friends with these students, but they've become a family. Family is often defined as relatives or by blood, but when I think of family, I think of each and every one of these kids. Some that have made a huge impact on my life is Jared Kashan, who's not only been my friend since elementary, but a brother to me, and I know that I could go to him with anything. Also, Gus Hernandez, who never fails to put a smile on my face. Such a young, caring man who has a special place in my heart. Along with his sister Alyssa, who not only I've had the opportunity to work with, but build a friendship with. I could go to her with anything. These are just some of the kids. I could go on about each of these students, but it would take all day. And unfortunately, we don't have time for that. JAG teaches kids how to build relationships and how to interact with one another, and how to learn in a project-based way. Being a student in JAG started my junior year for me. Before I was in JAG, I didn't take school serious, and I always wanted to be the class clown, the center of attention and not focusing on school or my career. Since joining the program, my decent F's have turned into A's, B's. Occasionally there'll be a C, but it gets up. The program also helped get my youth apprenticeship with Renegades. I'll admit, I often find myself trying to be the class clown, but I really focused on school, along with getting good grades and graduating. I also think having Miss White as my teacher helped. Not only did she keep me on track, she wouldn't give me a choice but to do my work. And if I wasn't at school, my phone would be ringing, and it would be her telling me to get myself to school. She would do grade checks on me to make sure I was doing what I needed. After a while of just thinking she was being hard on us, I came to realize she does this because she cares about us. She wants what is best for each of her students. Miss Hoyk is our school mom, and without her keeping me where I need to be, I don't think I'd be up on this stage. I'm very thankful to have had her as my teacher, and I'm also really thankful to have been a part of this program. Thank you. Next up is Jake Todd.
Hello, my name is Jake Tomah, and I joined JAG last year, and has totally changed my life. Before JAG, I was lost. I was kind of the typical jock, I guess you could say. Just kind of cared about sports and girls. But when I joined, it totally changed my life. I met all these amazing people, and my perspective on life totally changed. People that I never talked to or had any intention to get to know became some of my closest friends. I have truly gained a family in all of them. And yeah, they told me we're a family. We all love each other. We don't always get along, but we still have each other's backs. We have some great moments in class, whether it's Josh complaining that something is unfair, or Millie and I arguing about something. But through everything, we are a family, and I love all of you. I'd also like to thank Ms. Hoyt for being like a mother to all of us. You mean so much to us, and we owe you everything. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my little brother, John Tomah.
Alright, I don't know if I'm going to be able to top any of that, but my name is John Tottenham. I'm a freshman here at Tomah High, and I just joined JAG this year, and this is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and I've made a lot of bad decisions. Yes. Before I joined JAG, I was a very selfish person. All I cared about was myself. I was trying to focus on my goals of becoming something. I wanted to do something with my life, and I never really paid attention to the people around me. And it's hard to say because now that I was shown how I act around people, I have the sense now that everyone has feelings, and now that I know that, I become a better person, and I can trust more people. I've met a lot of interesting people that changed my life. I met Miss Hoyt, and I have to say she's like another mother to me, and she's really helping me with my goals. I'm becoming a lawyer like my grandfather. I've never really struggled with grades, but now that I'm in JAG, I know that I will never have any problems because I always go to Miss Hoyt, and she always tells me, John, your A's are starting to slip a little bit. And I'm like, I know. I'll get working on them, and I'm still working on them. The people I met, I have a lot of respect for them now, and I know that they respect me too. I know that we all have our own personal problems, but whenever we go into JAG class, it just, our own issues become everyone's issues, and we all talk to each other. I can trust you guys with literally anything. We do a lot of schoolwork, sometimes, not all the time. Julie comes around and asks me if I can play Uno a lot, and I promise you I will play Uno one of these days. But overall, JAG has just been a big part of my life, and I'm hoping that more people can join because I've just learned a lot of self-respect and respect for others, and I've just overall become a better person, and I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of the people that I now can call friends. And I'm proud of Ms. Hoyt for always being positive and always putting a smile on my face whenever I walk into class. I'm having a bad day, I walk in all moody like how I usually do. I sit down, get on my Chromebook, I'm just kicking it back, and Ms. Hoyt just looks at me with that smile on her face.
You were going to say smirk, weren't you?
Yeah. That smile on her face that I know it's reassuring, and just for the rest of the day, I have a great rest of the day. And I'm so thankful for everything you've done for us. I know that everyone else in my class is thankful for everything you've done, and I hope you keep your positivity, and I know that all of us will keep the positivity you share with us. Thank you.
Our first guest speaker is going to be our assistant principal, Mr. Adams.
All right, I was told to kind of keep it short because Mike Murray needs about an hour and a half. So I'll do my best here. I've never really given a speech before for any kind of thing. I did graduation a couple years ago, but everything was prepared for me. So I had a little bit of a time to sit down and kind of gather my thoughts the other night. After being asked to do this, my schedule kind of got changed around and I was actually able to attend this, which I was very thankful for. I'm kind of going with the theme. When I graduated from high school in 1989, do the math, I literally had no idea what I wanted to do with my life or my career. My junior year in high school, I enlisted into the Army National Guard, thinking that was truly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go full-time military. However, after a few short weeks of my combat communications training, I realized that the military life was not what I wanted, and I enrolled in UW Platinum. In order to do that, though, I had to take this thing called an ACT. I had no idea what an ACT was when I graduated from high school. I also had to take a few colleges, tech college courses in English and math to kind of brush up on some of my skills. I chose a major in field research and biology after I learned that I needed to take a heck of a lot more chemistry than I was capable of to become a veterinarian. But however little did I know in the next 4 weeks or 4 months of my freshman year of high school, my National Guard unit was activated for Operation Desert Storm, and I served in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf War for the next 6 months. Graduated in 1995 from Platteville. Was able to take another trip and study with Dr. Jane Goodall, do research with her chimpanzees, and as an education intern in Tanzania in Africa. That led me to become a zookeeper in Lincoln, Nebraska in 1996. I then moved back to Platteville with my wife when she finished up her engineering degree. Then we moved to Stevens Point in '98, where I got my teaching license. And then we drove back to Prairie du Chien, where I drove an hour back to Platteville for my first teaching job in 2000. And then in 2001, I ended up here. And obviously, I haven't left since. Needless to say, my career path took many turns. Much to the amazement and obvious frustration to my family. And I still happily joke that I really don't have a clue what I want to do with my life. My dream job is a National Geographic photographer. And because my iPhone isn't good enough. My point to this rambling story is that you never will know what life is going to throw at you. All that you can do is just hold on and enjoy the ride. I never would have guessed I would have been a zookeeper. I never would have guessed I would work in Africa with the one person who inspired me to become, have a love of wildlife and for the environment. I never would have guessed I would have served in the Gulf War and become a veteran. I never would have guessed that I would be teaching biology and eventually become a principal. And along the way, I would never have guessed I would have had 2 amazing kids and a very inspiring wife. But those are the keys to success. Surround yourself with people who are going to support you, who are going to nurture you, who are going to guide you, who are going to disagree with your decisions, but above all else, who are going to love and care for you. Again, you're never going to project what or where your life may take you. Take advantages of those opportunities as they arise. Travel the world. Take advantage of that and learn about other cultures and immerse yourself into other communities. My favorite thing is eat the food that looks good in those other countries and then try some of the stuff that doesn't. Believe it or not, snails and ants are delicious. So make memories with your family that make you laugh and cry. Above all else, and again, this is from my standpoint because of animals, above all else, be the person your dog thinks you are. A loving, caring individual who brings joys to someone's eyes every single time you walk through the door. Thank you.
All right, our next guest speaker is going to be Mr. Sulik. He's one of the counselors here at Tomah High School.
Good morning, everyone. As Alyssa said, and she mentioned, my name is JAG and I served as one of 3 school counselors here at Tomah High School. This is my first year at Tomah, but my career spans 43 years, and I've included tours of duty as a special needs instructor, a counselor, and a school principal. I've always been impressed with the Tomah School District, their teachers, and the many programs they offer. When I arrived at Tomah, I heard about the awesome JAG program. Wow, I really thought, how cool was it to have a school program based on naval law, prosecution, and defending criminal cases under the jurisdiction of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Just like on TV, I said. Wow, how exciting. Boy, was I wrong. What I quickly found is that JAG is truly an awesome program. But JAG really meant jobs for Americans graduates. What has impressed me much regarding our Tomah JAG program is its clear and concise communication of goals and purposes, strong student leadership, and the use of quality data as tools to improve student performance. It has been very apparent that both the school and the JAG have many caring and knowledgeable individuals working with our young adults, teachers, counselors, mentors, caseworkers, coaches, community members, program directors, and many other well-trained individuals who understand and care deeply about youth. One such adult, Ms. Kim Hoyt, heads our JAG program while providing straightforward leadership for our students. She is genuinely committed to the success of youth, not just today, but for the long haul. Ms. Hoyt is most knowledgeable and works effectively and compassionately with the young people that pass her way. She has daily contact with a number of unique individuals while providing age-appropriate activities that adhere to sound youth development and principles. Ms. Hoyt's JAG program is built on high standards and expectations. Hers is a successful program. She does not water down her standards, but rather challenges her students to maintain high degrees of performance and offers appropriate supports to each young person that passes her way. Ms. Hoyt understands the importance of community. She's been able to integrate these group members like parents, guardians, and employers as resources to support learning and to extend and enrich the lives of her students. These caring adults function as a natural base of advocacy for the young people in our JAG program. An interesting facet of Tomah JAG is that it is quite effective due to its holistic approach, which is based upon a broad set of strategies and services to address varied needs of the young people. Working with today's young in an ever-changing environment means it takes more than just daily class, to have a successful outcome. It sometimes takes extra time, individual attention, hands-on practical instruction, culturally sensitive enrichment activities, life skills, training, and a strong focus on developing peer support. One of the crucial parts of the program like JAG is that of work-based learning, adding authenticity and relevance to the learning experience and ensuring that the skills learned are likely to lead to employment and good careers after high school and college. Tomah JAG is one of the best student readiness programs you'll find thanks to Ms. Hoy and her students. In closing, I ask that all students these questions. Do you have a dream? Do you know where you want to go? Do you know how to get there? What is your plan? These are some of the big questions I pose to you as our future leaders, and here are a few tips to help you find the answers. Listen to the adults around you. Yes, listen to your moms and dads. Your parents and your teachers are great resources and a great place to start. If you listen closely, what you will hear are voices of those that know. But even more importantly, those that love you and really do care about who you are and who you become. To get plugged in, unplug. Maximize your connections through all of your social media platforms and digital tools. But for meaningful context that will help you develop, put down your phones. Face-to-face communication, be it personal or professional, it's way better than the electronic modes of communication, such as a telephone conversation or an email. The emotions, body languages, and expressions are essential parts of communication that are lost in the electronic world. Don't be afraid to build personal relationships. Good personal relationships give us benefits. Our lives are more enjoyable when we have relationships with those around us. Also, people are more likely to go along with changes that we want to implement, and when we're more innovative and creative. Having positive personal relationships show prospective employers that you're the kind of person they want on their team. Remember, success equals style and substance. No matter what you do in life, high school is more than just doing homework. It's about developing your skills and talents. That's substance. Now, how unique is your voice, your personality, your creativity when it comes to your skill set? That's style. In a world when a lot of people have a lot of talent, it may be the difference between being hired or having your resume thrown away. So as you move forward in school and life, learn to look at the things positively and to have unshakable faith in yourself. Learn how to heal your hurts, to learn from your mistakes, and to intuitively trust that everyone's life, seemingly problems, has a solution. Never stop learning. Your curiosity should not be silenced. Always remember that you have parents and teachers who love you deeply, no matter what. Thank you very much, and all of your future endeavors.
Our last but definitely not least is going to be Mike Murray.
Well, I didn't get the name Megaphone Mike for no reason. My friends call me that. I don't necessarily always like talking with a microphone because I want you to understand that I'm talking with you, not to you. Show of hands, how many of you have heard me babble before? Okay, so there's quite a few of you. For those of you that haven't, as Mr. Adams said, I might need an hour and a half. Unfortunately, there's some of you in the audience that have been trapped in a car with me for 2 hours at a time. So you know what I'm like. But there's something I want to emphasize to you guys right now. You know, 36 years ago, I was walking these hallways. I was you. Okay? You see me as you see me. Your perception of me doesn't always make reality. Just as anybody else's perception of you doesn't make it a reality. When I was your age, I was riddled with depression and anxiety. I've dealt with that my entire life. I used to walk these hallways. As a matter of fact, one of the worst panic attacks I ever had was at the state wrestling tournament in 1984. I was in a bathroom and I felt like the world was closing in around me. I felt like my world was ending. As a matter of fact, I'm a driver's ed instructor part-time. At one point in my life, I had anxiety so bad that I couldn't even drive the warrants. As I got older, I learned how to deal with that. Sort of. Life took over. One point in time, perhaps I could have been classified as an alcoholic. Spent a lot of my time at the bar, spent a lot of my money at the bar, made a lot of excuses about why I couldn't do things that I should have been doing with my life. I still deal with anxiety. I still deal with depression. The reason I'm telling you these things is that I don't want you to think that I'm another adult up here just trying to preach to you. I'm a human being, just like you. If you think that when you step out of high school, that people's ability to judge you, people's ability to talk about you, people's ability to think what they want to think about you is going to change, it doesn't. I bet you can ask any of the speakers that were up here today that they've probably been questioned about who they are, the way they handle things, the way they do things, and that's unfortunately the rest of your life. As a matter of fact, when I quit drinking, I made a choice about 10 years ago to quit drinking. And part of the reason for that is I realized that my life wasn't going the direction I wanted it to go. And who has control of that? I do, right? And if it wasn't going the direction I wanted it to go, what did I have to do? I have to change. There's things I had to change, choices I had to make. Who can I blame for my problems? For those of you that had me as a driver's ed instructor, I was actually in the classroom. I don't know, who actually had classroom with me? Okay? Do you remember I put A plus B equals C on the board? Attitude plus behavior, consequence. Right? That doesn't change as you get older. I'm 51 years old. That simple math formula still applies today. My attitude plus my behavior equals the consequences that occur in my life. If I want to step back and I want to look at what's going on in my life, I have to look at what I've been doing up to this point in time. I wasn't happy 10 years ago. I was miserable. I was at a point where I wasn't even sure if I wanted to live. I had to make changes. I had to make choices. As a matter of fact, you know, as I said, I used to go to the bar all the time, and I remember very vividly, a very good friend of mine, when I made the choice to stop drinking. I still went to the bar, shot pool, played cards with my friends, and I made the choice to change. And when I was in the bar, I had a friend of mine that looked at me and said, "Murr, have a beer." "No, I'm good." "Come on, have a beer." "No, I don't want one." And he kept chiding me and chiding me. He kept going after me and after me to have a beer. And I'm like, you know, I finally looked at him and I said, "You know, I don't want a beer." He says, "Well, are you ever going to drink again?" I said, "What, are you more concerned about the fact that I don't drink anymore or the fact that you can't stop drinking?" And he looked at me and said, "F you, Murray. I liked you a lot better when you drank." I said, "No, it's funny because I liked you a lot better when I drank too." Yeah. Because you know what? The only place you find definitions is in a dictionary. Nobody else defines you. Do you ever notice how it's so easy for your friends to tell you how you should behave in your life? Yet, they don't want to listen to your advice about how they should live their life. It's easy to do because we don't have to live with the consequences, do we? If I tell you Listen, if I tell you how to do something, and I tell you, I can say this because I know her mom. You know, if I told Lisa, well, you should go home and tell your mom this, and tell her that, and you did. Well, it's easy for me to say that, right? Because do I have to live with it when your mom, when your mom reacts to it? Exactly. The rest of your life is going to be filled with people telling you how you should change. Ultimately, when you become an adult, whose choice is it? Yours. I drove with some of you. I know you're not quiet. When it comes to change, you have one coming, right? How many of you are thrilled about it? Show of hands, how many of you are thrilled about it, Miss White? Going somewhere else. It's part of change. It's part of life. The thing is, life will give you changes constantly. Show of hands, how many people here remember shopping at Tomah when you were a kid?
What is that?
Shopping at Tomah as a kid. I see some adults out here who have their hands. What's a Tomah?
It's a store. Like a
Pre-Walmart.
Walmart. Yeah. Pre-Walmart store.
It's a pre-Walmart.
I think I shopped there with you once.
I'm going to give you from a corporate level what can happen when you refuse to change. Anybody know where Slumberland is? Yeah. That was Tomah. Tomah, as Ms. Oig said, was pre-Walmart. But when you brought your things up to the register, they picked it up and they went and went on. And all of a sudden, a place called Walmart came in. And guess what they had? Beep, beep, beep. Did they have the same products? Absolutely. Tomah, if you saw Tomah in its early stages with Walmart in its early stages, they're twin brothers. But what was the difference? And was it really faster? Maybe cheaper. It wasn't cheaper. They were about the same price. But what happened was Walmart walked in and said, we're going to change the way people do business. We're going to change the way people shop at a store. You know what Tomah said? No. We're staying. We're not changing. First three rows. How many of you raised your hand when I said, did you shop at Tomah when you were a kid? Yeah. You know why? Tomah's gone. There are a few stores left in the United States. From a corporate level, transfer that to your life right now. I talked to Ms. Oig, and she's told me that there are some kids that are upset. They don't know if they want to do JAG. They don't know if they want to do this, and they don't know if they want to do that. People, your whole life has been changed. Do you listen to the same music now that you listened to 10 years ago? Let it go, let it go. Can you imagine if that's all you had to listen to? I mean, you're probably driving near the nearest cliff trying to figure out your way off. But what I want you to understand is if the song Let It Go comes on the radio, will you still let it play? You know, some people will. And you know why? Because that change in music, that change in artists that have come out, they didn't stop what you had before. They didn't eliminate what you had before. They've added to what you had before. They've expanded who you are as a person. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want the best laugh of your life, sit with a fat grown man and watch a horror movie. Because I will pee myself. Okay? And I'm sure there are some of you who never used to watch horror movies, but now you just love them. When I was a kid, I couldn't stand the taste of squash. Ugh. Apparently, I've learned to like it. Change is going to happen throughout your life. Part of the reason I shared with you about the struggles I've had with my own self-worth and belief. Ms. Hoyt, do you remember me from high school?
I do, Mr. Murray.
Yes. Can you give them a little bit of an explanation and don't... give them an explanation of who I was when I walked the hallways of Tomah High School.
Class clown. True.
Yeah, it's actually true.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox, for backing me up.
Verification.
I was a class clown. I loved to have fun. I had friends from, every spectrum, back in my day, we called them the nerds. We called them the dirt balls. We called them the same cliques you have in high school now, where everybody thinks they're different than everybody else and thinks they're better or worse or whatever. We all exist. What's going on in the high school right now is no different than when I was there. It's the exact same thing. Exactly the same. But I will tell you this, and I will ask Ms. Hoyt this. Would you have personified me as somebody who was horribly insecure?
No.
Yet I was. I questioned everything I did. I questioned every reason as to why I did it. I still do that to this day. You may have those kinds of moments. And I share these with you because what I want you to understand is the worst thing you could ever do for yourself is be unwilling to change how you handle those things or how you approach those things. If you're struggling with things in your life, if you're struggling with the direction you're going, does it help to keep it inside? How many of you went to Ms. Hoyt with your personal problems? Okay, leave your hands up. Of those of you that went to Ms. Hoyt, and I want you to be honest, you can my students that have driven with me, am I one of the most brutally forthright people you've ever met? Yes, I don't mince words, I don't sugarcoat it. Okay? Now, you got your hands up. I could keep going on and on like I normally do, and then you'll be like, when am I going to drop my hand? Drop your hand if, after talking to Ms. Hoyt, it never helped. You didn't feel better after talking to Ms. Hoyt. Okay? Put your hand up. The vast majority of you kept your hands up. My point in this is the fact that you are looking at somebody who, when they were your age, was horribly insecure, struggled. And I've reached a point where I can either stay with that train of thought or I can change who I'm going to become. I have a friend of mine, he's a prison guard, who has been for a lot of years. And he busts my chops constantly about the fact that he's been a prison guard for 20 plus years. In the time he's been a prison guard, I've had 5 different jobs. You know what he busts my chops about? What? What do you think? How's that? Yeah, not sticking to something. Man, you change jobs more than I change my underwear. Which I can tell occasionally. But when he says those things to me, I laugh at him. Because he's miserable in his job. He's absolutely miserable. You know the word he uses for it? I'm stuck. Who has control over the rest of your life? You do, right? You may not like the change that's coming from Ms. Hoyt. Who remembers when I walked into your room and wrote the word inevitable on the board? Who gives me the definition of inevitable? What's the definition of inevitable?
Something that has to happen, that you have no control over.
No control. It's going to happen. Do we remember the reason I wrote the word inevitable on the board? Ms. Hoyt, do you remember why? What was going on that they were supposed to be filling out paperwork for that they weren't filling out paperwork for?
Wasn't it for scholarships?
Yep. That probably didn't happen this year, though, did it?
Of course it.
Nobody delayed in filling out paperwork for college or for scholarships or anything? Okay, don't lie. Who delayed? Come on, don't lie. Okay, so you delayed. Did they extend the deadline for you?
No.
So inevitably it was going to happen, right? Inevitably, Ms. Hoyt is going to move on. Inevitably, you're going to walk into the JAG classroom. And it's all going to change. It's not going to be what it was. She's not going to be there to hear what you have to say. She will be there. I know her. I've known her long enough to know that she will be there for you as much as she can be. But whose responsibility is it when it comes to that change into turning it positive? Yeah. When I go to the A plus B equals C, okay, actually, I'm going to digress from that in just a minute. I was talking to some students the other day. We were driving, and we got talking about a very real issue for you guys, the guns in school. And it's a very real thing, isn't it? Okay? You know, one of the things that gets covered on the surface but never really gets delved into is the fact of what about that person that's sitting all by themselves? As a matter of fact, I told the story the other day. I said, what if I told you about a young man in a high school in Delaware, and I showed you a video of a young man in high school whose both parents are alcoholics. He is beaten on a regular basis. He witnesses his mother being beaten by his father. There's seldom any food in the house. He usually comes to school with bad body odor because there is no money to buy any kind of hygiene stuff. They don't have a washer and dryer. And if you watch the story of this young man walking the hallways in Delaware, and you saw what he went through, and you saw every day he kind of sat by himself. Nobody talked to him. He was a loner. He's a kid that smelled. And again, I don't like smoke blown, to be honest with you. If I gave you the opportunity, if I gave you a plane ticket to fly to Delaware to go to his high school, to walk into his high school while he's eating lunch, what would you do? Would you walk up and talk to him? I heard some yeses and nos. Why wouldn't you walk up and talk to him? Be honest. Mm-hmm. The fear of the fact that you walked up and talked to a kid that nobody else talks to, right? And what's interesting, who said yes? I heard a yes over here. Why would you talk to him?
Because it's rough being alone. If you know how it feels, you know that being alone is harder than anything going to high school.
Inner beauty is more important than outer beauty. I'd rather get to know
Amen
a
to that.
person than to just, look at who he is outside.
Yeah. And Mr. Totten made a really good point earlier. I wrote it down on my paper. Do you know how hard it is for people to say, I'm proud of myself? How many of you say that to yourselves on a regular basis?
What?
That you're proud of yourself? I'd be willing to bet not a lot of you. When I talk about this kid in Delaware, those kids are in your high school right now. Show of hands, again, let's be honest. I told you about me being borderline alcoholic, depression, anxiety. You know what? I have nothing to hide from you. How many of you feel like you're alone in the world? How many of you feel like nobody understands you? How many of you feel like you're the only one that is going through what you are going through? Okay, put your hands down. Probably one of the most epiphanistic moments I've ever had in my life And again, one of those moments that I will remember forever, and the change that I needed to make in who I was. I was in a horrible place. I mean, like I said, I was going to the bar. I was drinking all my money away, so my credit was horrible. I couldn't have got a loan for a $20 bill if I'd had 2 tens to put down. That was my money. And I used to wake up at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. You guys live in an era where there's 190,000 channels. You can find anything, but you remember old people like me. Now, when we woke up, there was like 4 channels.
Or you lived in Oakdale, we had one.
You had one. You had to hold the aluminum foil and learn yoga at an early age.
Yes.
But this is God's honest truth. After about the 30th night in a row of being awake from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning watching shows about how to reorganize your life financially, how to deal with when your life is falling apart, it occurred to me that if I'm sitting up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching this, do you think I'm the only person in the world that's dealing with this? When you feel alone, when you feel like you're the only one, okay, change your attitude towards it, okay? Talk to somebody about it. Trust me. Trust me. There are people out there who are experiencing the same things you are. You need to change your approach. Some of you have already heard this story, and I'm going to end with this one. The last 2 years of my life, actually last 3 years of my life, have probably torn me more than any up to this point in time. I looked at buying the teepee. That fell through. Now a new project came to play. And Gerke's have been kind enough to ask me to open a restaurant and a bar and a banquet facility. So I took from a very negative, sad to, man, I wish they'd just start building the darn thing. So that's going pretty good. But in the last 3 years, I've lost 5 people that have been very integral to me. For the last 7 to 8 months, while I maintain my own home, I've basically been living with my mom. My mom has early stages Alzheimer's. My dad passed away 4 years ago from complications from Alzheimer's. And I'm seeing the similarities between my mom and, any of you experienced Alzheimer's here? Know what it is? You know how horrific it can be? Yes. It has eaten at me very much in the last 8 months of watching my mother decline. I love her dearly, and if you want to call me a mama's boy, it's the best compliment I'll ever get. I've had 5 friends in the last 3 years pass away. But one friend especially left a mark on me, and as I said, some of you have heard this story. 2 years ago, last Friday, my friend Steve Kolb passed from this earth. He had been diagnosed with terminal cancer about 2.5 years prior to that. He always had a great sense of humor about it. He was 50, I believe 57 when he was diagnosed. He was given 1 year to live. And whenever we'd play poker, he'd be like, "Hey, Mark, loan me $100, I'll pay you back next year." He always had a great sense of humor about it. When Steve died, actually 2 weeks prior to Steve passing, his cancer, he had tumors all throughout his back, into his spine, into his lower back. So sitting, like you guys are sitting, he would have had to have changed about every 30 seconds because it would press and he would be in pain. So he was sitting in his chair right across from my desk, and we were, just talking about everything under the sun, and he had a port. If you don't know what a port is, it's just, again, something that would attach to your body, and it goes right into your bloodstream. He could push a button that would release pain medication into his body to help deal with the pain he was experiencing. Several times through our conversation, he pushed the button. And I looked at him and I said, that helping at all? He shrugged his shoulders and said, what are you going to do about it? Steve passed away 2 weeks later. His wife Reba called myself and a couple of friends, asked us to do, not only be pallbearers, but asked us to give a eulogy at Steve's funeral. And this was on a Wednesday. I had students scheduled, as I normally do on a Saturday morning from 7 to 11. So I had 4 students scheduled. I got a hold of 3 of the 4 of them. I couldn't get a hold of the 4th. I called, I texted, I sent Facebook messages. No response. They're supposed to drive Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. At about 6:10, I called their number and said, I don't know how else to get a hold of you, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I will not be there at 7 o'clock. And I headed to the grocery store to get food so I could make food for after the funeral. Shortly after I arrived at the grocery store, my phone rang. I answered it, and it was this young man's mother. Mr. Adams, be careful what I say. This is the God's honest truth. The first statement out of the mouth, what the F is going on? I said, excuse me? Well, this is so-and-so's mother, and I want to know what the F is going on. I said, well, my friend passed away 2 days ago. I am moving things around because his funeral and his dinner afterwards is today, and it just isn't a good day. And she said, well, that's effing great. You just ruined our whole effing weekend. And she wasn't quite as calm about it as I'm being right now. And she continued with F-bombs about, we set this effing up, you effed up our weekend, and so on and so forth. And I said, well, I apologize. I'll tell you what, I'm going to call the rest of my friends. I'm going to tell them if they plan on dying, they need to schedule it with me ahead of time to make sure that it will accommodate everybody's schedule. And she said, oh, what ever. And she hung up on me. So what kind of mood do you think you'd be in after that phone call? Huh? Not happy? Well, thankfully, I'm a pretty calm guy. Well, and honestly, I went home and I was slamming cupboard doors and I was F-bombing at myself and calling her everything but human. And you know what popped into my head? You've heard this story. Some of you have heard it. What popped into my head?
What you gonna do about it?
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? At that particular moment, I became instantly calm, laughed a little bit, gave him one last F you for busting my chops one last time. And I went to his funeral and I told that story. But since then, I've told that story. The reason you know the answer to that is because I've told that story to hundreds of students. I've told it to numerous friends. I tell it to myself every single day. When I drive down by that vacant lot down there and I see just 2 people working on the lot, and I think that they should be moving faster to build this building, I have to look at it and say, what am I going to do about it? There's not a thing one I can do about it. If I work myself up over it, what happens? Do they work faster down there? No. If I start slamming my car door and laying on my horn, does that mean they get more people down there to work? No. And the same thing's going to happen in your life. When Miss Hoyt leaves, the first day that you walk into that classroom when the new instructor is there, the first day is going to be very, very difficult because it is going to change your world as you know it. You're going to have to learn something new. You're going to have to learn somebody new. But change is an inevitability. Life is inevitable. Don't be a Pomida. Be a Walmart. Deal with change, accept change, and grow with it. Good luck to all of you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Yeah, you said that one.
Yeah. this time, we're going to do our student recognition. Basically, I have some certificates and a few special things for a couple of my big helpers, and that I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. I do want to say that my students have worked very hard on doing, well, the majority of them. Some of them pulled it off by the seat of their pants this morning, but that's normal. We have biography boards that they've been working on, and if you can kind of see the bottom, I'm going to put the screen up here in a second. When we're done giving our certificates, I want you guys to be able to, especially parents that are here, and guardians, be able to take some pictures or whatever, but then take an opportunity to come up and walk around and look at all the individual boards that they've worked on. These should show you what their dreams, what their aspirations, what their goals. Some of them, already know they want to go to college. Some know that they want to go into the military. Some know that they want to go right to school afterward. And what I've always told them is none of it's the wrong answer. None of it's the wrong answer. My hope for all of them, and they know this, is that they have a plan. And sometimes I always tell them to have two, plan A and plan B, because plan A can fall through. Have plan B in place just in case. But I told them, have one. Have one. And by the time they leave me, and by the time they walk out of Tomah High School's doors, when they graduate, my hope is for my seniors that they have that plan. Is it always going to be the same? No. I have seniors that left 2 years ago that have already changed jobs or situations 4 or 5 times in the past 2 years. I have students that left last year that started school and dropped out of school already. It doesn't mean that I'm any less proud of them. Ever. All I ask for them is to have a plan B then, to say, well, don't just throw in the towel. Do you know what you're going to do next? And I sat and talked to my seniors right here. I sat on the stage on the edge yesterday and put them all down here, and we had a very nice talk about these plans and about these goals, and they know what my expectations are of them. And I've gotten to know these fine young adults so well in my time here. I've been in the JAG program, not just here, but I've been in the program for 5 years. I started out in lacrosse schools. I did some at Arcadia. I worked at Bangor. I did some at Sales in Sparta. And then I got to come here 4 years ago. When they asked me to come to this school, I was so honored because I too am a graduate of Tomah High School. So I'm heavily vested in the success of this area and the kids that leave these doors. I never thought that I'd be a person that would have the position that I'm in. I never thought that I would come back and work here someday. The classroom that I teach in was my English classroom when I was in high school. I had windows then. We don't have any windows now, unfortunately. I joked with my students yesterday and I said where I'm going. It was a no-win situation. I said I had to take this job because my new office has a window. And I can open that window. And they laughed. I know that they're angry with me. I know that they're hurt. But I asked them that they try to be happy for me because this is a very positive move. The job that I do here does take a lot of commitment. Some days it can be really rough. I go home and I've cried before after school. I've been swore at, told off. I've been called names. And this is, it's not an easy job. It takes patience, and I try to do it, but sometimes that patience, and as you get older, and as Mr. Murray said too, I know he stated his age, I'm not far behind him. We went to high school, we walked these halls together, so, thank you, yeah. And I know Mr. Wilcox is out there too, so, yeah. And he and I danced on the stage many times. We were in show choir together. This is a familiar spot for me. When I said in my speech, it is bittersweet because I am leaving someplace that I love very much. But when you know it's time to go, when you know that you have to for your own well-being and for your future, and you have plans that, yeah, you're torn by what is that choice going to be? Should I stay or should I go? Well, it kind of sounds like song lyrics, doesn't it? I think there's a song in there somewhere. And at this point, for the first time in my life, I honestly said, it's time for me to go. And I told my students, am I being selfish? Yeah. I'm being selfish. This is about me this time. It's not about them. It's totally my decision. I called and I talked to my own son and I said, you know, are you okay with this? And he said, Mom, stop worrying what other people think. He said, are you happy? And I said, yeah. And he's like, then do it. And he laughed. And I guess that was the way that I had to move and the way that I had to go. And I appreciate what Mr. Murray had to, you know, his speech about change hits it spot on for you guys right now. I want you to hold that near and dear to your heart. I don't want anybody to say, well, I don't want to be in JAG anymore. Because I think now you've listened to people speak, not just the adults in the room, but other students that were able to get up here and talk today. It's not about me, guys. I play a part of it. I understand that. But this program is an amazing program. There is so much. And this career association, it is what you guys put into it. It's your leadership. That's why you guys get frustrated with me. Well, I sent you stuff, or I did this, but you never did it. You never printed it for me, Miss Hoyt. And I'm like, wait. Where's the responsibility falling here? You guys have to start taking the responsibility. And if something's not done, I mean, forgive me, but my mind has been a lot of other places in the past couple weeks. I mean, I'm in the middle of moving out of my house and finding renters and packing boxes, and my last day at Tomah High School is the 21st. I start my new job on the 22nd. So I have about 6 hours to get from here to there and be in my new spot. So while I want to be 100% to you guys right now, I'm not. And I'll admit that. I'll take responsibility for it. But it doesn't mean that I love you guys any less. And I've told them, and I will tell all of you, that they still know where to find me. They know how to get a hold of me. They're very resourceful. Yes, they are. But I told them that I'm always going to have an ear out there. Mr. Murray said it too. Miss Hoyt's not going to drop off and say, well, I'm not in charge of it anymore. You guys have all heard the not my circus, not my monkeys type of, yeah. You guys know that's not true when it comes to me.
You're still our monkeys.
Yes, you're still my monkeys. You're still my monkeys. And I do love you. So I want to take this opportunity to recognize you guys and call each one of you up. I'm going to give you your certificate. I don't want you to go off the stage. I want you guys to line up, but I'm going to raise the screen up back here. When it's all done, we'll get a picture of the whole group up here. And then please bring your parents or whoever's here with you to come up and look at all the boards. They go all the way around back here. There are some that aren't completely finished that might not be up there yet, but they will be completing them because it's an assignment. The inevitable 0 may be in the grade book, but you know, I know they'll do it. Yeah, I know they'll do it. So at this time, I'm going to put the screen up. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me be a part of your lives, parents, guardians, mentors, counselors, everybody that's here. Thank you for letting this happen. Because I could never do this all alone. My program, when I started 4 years ago, I had 6 students. My program this year, I have 53 students on my caseload. That means that I still have 18 follow-ups from last year. And then all of you. But in my 4 years here, I've served a little over 200 students. That's pretty special. I've been able to serve over 200 Tomah High School students. And I'm proud of that. So thank you, okay? I'm gonna go ahead.